Come on, everybody, let's start the show. A quick ahoy hoy and away we'll go. Richard's got a minifig and Flynn's got a pin. The gang's all here and it's time to begin. TrickyBricks roll call. Moto. Holly. Cara. And sometimes Blair. Clicky. Logan. Ms. Thing and Angela and Thunderman Ho! Now you're here to grab your bricks and let's go to the TrickyBricks Build and Chat Show! Ahoy, hoy, friends! How's it going? Hope you are having an awesome Wednesday. We have a super exciting show for you today. As you can see, Richard's not here today. It's just me. He is out working again. But we are having a special guest host. Holly will be with us today. She's coming in a little bit later. We also have an amazing special guest today, everybody. We have Lego concept designer Joel Baker is going to be with us on the show today, talking about what he does at Lego, which is very different from what we've had from other folks that we've had on the show before. So I'm really interested to find out about that. He worked on the Friends line, BrickHeadz, Vidiyo. He's done a ton of different stuff. So it's going to be great to talk to him. So gosh, well, I've got my I got my coffee here as usual. I'm going to take a little. Got to get ready with the coffee. So, well, let's see. Why don't we take a look at let's see who's with us today. If I can get over there quick enough. It's, now I don't know first of all, I don't know if any of you were privy to my absolutely disastrous, stream yesterday on Twitch, but holy cow, what a mess. My, everything was like the internet was screwy at my house and it was all, So anyway, I'm going to get ready to give the hellos to everybody. So make sure and say hello in the chat so I know that you are here and can say hello. And I'm going to go ahead and get that started in just a second. It's, how it is. It's always interesting when Richard's not here and I'm doing the whole thing on my own, but I'm going to do my very best. So let's see. All right. We've got Abby the Brick Squirrel is here. Alexander 23. Apples is here from Europe. Aubrey Kovac, Brick Literacy, Brickanista, hello. Bubs and Lavabat. Chris NES Completed Chalice, very good. It's a great model, isn't it? Debo Bricks is here. Delicious Foods, Echo Bricks, Flash Pants. I like that. That's like Thunder Pants. Hell's Bells. How's it going? Hooded One. Jake Sadovich is here. Hey, Jake. John Luttrell. How's it going? John and Vicky. Good to see you. Johnny Cat is here. Mark Peterson. Matthew Builds Bricks. Minifig Chick. Minifig Nick. Rob Ketcherside. Rob Zaccardi. And the Zaccardis. Lana, Elena, and Vanessa. Hello. How's it going? We've got Robin Eklund, Sarah Silverman, Shane Levan is here. We've got the Hornburgers. Ahoy, hoy, Hornburgers. How's it going? Great to see you. We've got, I know somewhere out there, bonsoir to Wilfred. And, of course, the exclamation point on the end of the sentence, Zerkino, Kim. Awesome. Great to see everyone and anybody who maybe slid into into the chat while I wasn't looking. So it's great to see all of you. And Bubs and Lavabat is here, and I think Matthew Builds Bricks, very good. So last night was episode 2 of Lego Masters, and I haven't seen it yet because we have to wait till today, and I'm going to wait and watch it with Richard, of course. But I'm excited to see what everybody built because those the builds last week were amazing, and especially those dragons were just epic, right? So I am very, very excited. Hey, London Bridge Bricks is here. How's it going? Good to see you. And don't forget, we will be doing a spoiler-filled recap of this episode on Sunday with our very special guest, Bricks and Mortar. So we're going to be very excited to have Jamae here talking about the episode. So we have, let's see, what have we got going on today? We have, how about a pin? Why don't I show a pin? Because it's that time. I decided okay. So if you haven't seen it, something really cool happened in the Lego news, and I'm kind of wearing the pin that I'm wearing today is sort of like classy, just like this new set that's coming out. But it's my Disney Brothers pin. I love this. It's very classy. Very classy indeed. So I'm going to put that on. Okay, really excited, everybody. And now I have to say, we've had our hands on this for a little while, but it is now officially announced, and that is the Lego Ideas Typewriter. And oh my goodness, y'all, this thing is epic. We will be doing, there's a review embargo until next week, so we will be doing a review on next Wednesday's show. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. We're going to build it. We're going to do another time-lapse video of it. And we're really, really excited. Our second ever for review. And hey, let's take a look. There's a little bit better of a picture of it for you. Just so you can kind of see what's going on here. But man, this thing is epic. Look at that sand green, some really, really beautiful new pieces in sand green. It has the type hammer comes up when you type on the keys. The carriage does move back and forth. And also the roller on the carriage works as well. So you can roll that up and put paper in it, and oh my goodness. So this is going to be $200, and it will be available on the 16th for VIPs, and then it will be available on wider release on July 1st. And I really gotta say one of the many things I'm excited about this set is those keys, because they are in fact printed. Those are not stickers. Can you imagine if there would have been a revolt had they tried? Well, I mean, Lego Ideas never really has stickers, so you're always good to go on that count. But I know people do often ask, so those are printed key tiles. So, gosh, really, really excited about that. What an incredible, incredible set. I had no idea. Again, they don't necessarily tell us what we're getting when we first get it. And when it showed up, I was just like, it was really cool. So that's going to be, let's take a look. I can look at the box and tell you the details because I have the box here. It does not have a piece count on it, friends. I know that it's over 2,000 pieces. Sorry, I forgot to check the price. But I think it's going to be an incredibly, incredibly epic model to put together. So really, really looking forward to that. Also looking forward to, I have a new little toy that I got loaned yesterday. This is a camera that can do like super, super ultra close-ups of things. And we're really, really excited to try it out. And I think what we're going to do to test it out is we're going to try and get it inside our theater mock, which, you're familiar with. If you've been watching our show for a while, you're familiar with our theater, because there's so many things on the inside of it that we never really got to show. So I'm excited to try this out. I think it's going to be really, really fun. Oh, it's $199. Yes, $199.99, not $200. $199.99, friends, USD. So that was the typewriter we're talking about. So 2,079 pieces. Thank you, Fabufan MKE, for that update. Appreciate. Yeah, extreme close up. Really, really excited about that. Hey, Cody, how's it going? Good to see you. So how about we now have our special guest on, because I see that he's in the green room, and it is time to have him on, because talking with him is going to be far more interesting than watching me blab here by myself. So everybody, please give a huge TrickyBricks / Tricky Lug welcome to Lego concept designer Joel Baker. And Joel, don't forget to unmute. It's Joel. Hi, Joel.
Hey, Flynn. How you doing?
I'm so good. How are you today?
Good.
Excellent. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming and joining us today. We've been, as everybody in the audience knows, we've been trying to get you on here for a couple of months, and we finally were able to get it arranged to have you here. So this is just this is so exciting for us.
I'm psyched to be here. Happy
Awesome.
to support the channel.
Yeah, right on. Well, we super appreciate it. So, so first of all, let's. I'd like for you to kind of explain to everybody. Now we've had Justin Ramsden, we've had Wes Talbot, we've had Mel Caddick, we've had a lot of one type of designer on. And now what you do is very different from what our other guests have done. So could you tell us a little bit about what you do and sort of what the differences are between what you do and say what Wes or Justin or Mel does?
Yeah, so sometimes it's confusing because our titles will be the same. So like I'm a senior designer, Justin's a senior designer, and we can fill each other's roles, depending on how it goes. But oftentimes I get placed in the idea process. If you just visualize a timeline, I get placed in the process at the beginning a lot, right? So it's maybe we don't know what we need. Joel, do you have any ideas? Yeah, that would be very loose, very far out, right? But often it's a lot more detailed than that. Like maybe they have a price point in mind. Like we want a house for $70, and it's going to be for Andrea, right? So that would be pretty specific, right? That I can target in on, and then I'm pulling from different like what could it be? I could look at the show, like what's the reference there from the past show, or do we want to go with something different? Maybe there's a new story. Maybe she's moving into a new house, right? So that's another way it could happen. But then at Lego, we have these opportunities we call creative boosts, or sometimes creative boost week. And that's where an idea like, I'm blocking it, but like Hogwarts and Diagon Alley. I've never been on the Harry Potter team, but I worked on those as sketch concepts. And it's really kind of letting your passion out, kind of what ideas do you have? And I don't know if it's my innate, like being an American or just understand marketing or something, but like in my mind, sometimes instead of the kind of passionate creative side of it, I apply that same kind of energy, but to who's going to want something that I like that I could make. And Hogwarts is very much like that. Like I knew I wanted it. As a fan, as a person, didn't matter. It just sounded awesome to me. But then so I need to come up with a pitch, I need to come up with a reason. So then you're kind of looking at right? What's the age group? And there's enough of us that love Harry Potter that are old enough that we could build advanced stuff. Right. So, then kind of snowball. And I actually started on this before we even had the IP back.
Wow.
Right? So at the time, my first sketch model had sand green roofs because this current wave hadn't come out yet. So that was a different one. But some other times it's one of our, they're called creative leads. They're sort of the creative manager of a project. So on Friends, that would be who gave the parameters for what to do with Andrea's house. Right. But then with our fun Magic Fairground theme, plug this right here. So
excited for that.
Right. We actually tested quite a few themes there. And that one at some points was considered pretty out there for Friends. It wasn't done before. And so maybe we started off going a little bit far out and brought it back closer to a theme park. There's elements of that with the roller coaster. But we wanted that, performance vibes, a place for our new horse.
Always need a new horse.
yeah, it's a pretty special element. And then we've got two other of the new elements in here with the ring, which
right.
I immediately was like, oh man, that's not just for these. That's, you can see that as a spaceship part. But then anytime you say that, it's like, hang on, all parts are spaceship parts. That's not fair to right. That's just always true.
So I'm curious about that ring. Is it a gear? Like, I know like the bucket excavator had something that looked like that, but was much larger, and it was actually a gear. Now, is that a gear?
Right. With the teeth on the interior of the curve?
Correct.
No, this one's not a gear. So it's you get two of them in this box. So it's a single element with 6 holes spaced out in a hexagon. So you can almost think of it, if the 3x3 Technic wheel that's been around for ages.
Yeah.
Right. It's a half module thick. It's almost like an expanded version of that family.
Okay.
Right? You could, and so anytime we're making an element like this and we want to think what other elements could we make so that they all work together, so the system stays clean, the system works together forever. And we considered, like, okay, should it be fancy? Should it have a detail in the gap? But, then maybe it's less of a spaceship part. So,
right.
So I thought, we'll rely on the other things around it so it stays fancy. We'll put in a pretty color, right? But keep it a generic element, right? So that's the type of discussion that happens around this sometimes.
Wow, that's fascinating. Well, and that leads to another thing. So not only do you do concept design for the sets, but you actually also do some concept design for elements. Is that correct?
Yeah, quite a bit. I've gotten quite a few elements through where most of my involvement was like putting on a sticky note and understanding that I really wanted it, and I thought I saw a lot of opportunity for other people to use it. Or like the windows on Andrea's house. I don't have the box next to me, but the 3x3x2 quarter circle window pane.
Oh, we're obsessed. We are obsessed with those. They're amazing.
Right. Yeah, it's a fun one, and it turned out well. But originally, I was thinking of it for Diagonally.
Okay.
And so that the idea came from that, and then Diagonally ended up being a nice big one. So you didn't need new elements; you could build all the cool curves with existing stuff. And then in Friends, we were like, "Well, bay windows." And looking around at the bay window elements and options, this one made a lot of sense to make this new element in some ways, because our younger builders could handle it better.
Right.
So it was more suitable for 6+ rather than some of the cool stuff done that Marcus did in Diagonally. Right. It might not fit as well for, or we'd have to make compromises. So it seemed like a really justified element in that sense.
Interesting. So, and that's something I've never thought of before, but so you actually tailor, like if you're thinking about conceiving of a new element, you're actually tailoring that element to the age group that would be able to use it, right? So that curved element,
a factor. Yeah.
That's so cool. I never even thought about it like that before, but of course, that's really cool. So I know I gotta say I'm super excited for the Friends Fun Fair sets that are coming out. We don't get them until August 1st, and it's making me crazy that everybody is gonna get them.
No, I'm just over here teasing you guys with like
I know. It's such a bummer. But I'm now, did you have a hand in all of those or just a couple of them, or what was your like the roller coaster, for instance? Did you help out with that one?
My involvement in the roller coaster was next to nothing. Like, it was bare minimum. I think I had some like tent layout that got used, and Ellen was the designer on it. Of course, I talked with her and helped her out, but I wouldn't call that doing the concept. But when it came to come up with the ideas for the overall thing, the whole team was a part of that, and I think my individual responsibility on it more was elements for sure.
Right. Now,
elements and ideas on that one.
Okay, well, I have to ask: do you? And because Lego Masters, I have to ask: do you work with Amy?
I've worked with Amy on Lego Movie 2. She was on Lego Movie 2 early on in development there.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
And you've worked, I believe, with Elia,
yeah,
who I met at Bricks by the Bay, our local convention, a couple years
yeah.
back, and had a
He just
great
had a
time.
baby.
Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome. Please
Yeah,
send my congratulations.
will do.
That's amazing. Yeah, he's sort of a social media hermit, I've noticed. Like he's there like in the background, but he doesn't really like put a lot of stuff out. But he's what a great guy. Like had a great time. And he talked about the process of creating the set that I believe you two worked on together, the Queen whatever set. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really cool.
yeah. I was early on in that in the movie development. We went through tons of iterations of what the Queen would look like. Like
Yeah,
tons.
he actually did a presentation and showed us some of the pictures, and one of them was like a giant, like terrifying praying mantis like monster thing, which of course I was super into, but I can see that it might have terrified children. It was really cool though.
Yeah. I mean, you can even infer a little bit of Phil Lord and Chris Miller's humor there with like, you know, wanting to go with something that you wouldn't expect, as well as it being terrifying, even though it's for kids. So putting those juxtapositions together.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, so let's go back a minute to Andrea's house, and I want to talk about the fun fair stuff too. But the Andrea's house is something that we are intimately familiar with here on the show.
Nice.
We put it together on the show with Holly. Also, and we had a couple of people had the same set. So Lego sent us multiple copies. We put it together all together and really, really enjoyed it. Like just the color combinations. And of course, those curved windows, which we were all completely obsessed with. And just the little details like the opalescent windows in the bathroom. That was just so smart. That was just so clever.
That was a lucky solution to a problem that I didn't have a better solution for, because I really wanted to keep the windows there because it looks so nice. But then, you know, you don't want to be on the toilet right in front of windows to the whole neighborhood. So, right? And fortunately, that element was going to be in the brick built Mickey and Minnie.
Yes, which we also put together.
I had access to it. I'm not sure what I would have done if I didn't have access to it.
That's so great. Does that happen? Does that happen often when you're developing? Like I really need this, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, hey, this thing just happened, and oh my goodness, this is great.
Yeah, or on the business side, it helps if we have parts in lots of different sets, right? And just for the factory side of things. So sometimes you have a part that you're putting in a set, color change or something new, and you're going around asking people, could you please use this? Because then it just kind of helps with the development of it.
Right.
So sometimes the opposite, because it's, you know, maybe it's special to your set and you want to keep it for your theme. So, you know, it's a balance, and it kind of depends on things. But there's a lot of times where you go around like, could you please use this too? So I think there's a big Ninjago set where Marcus Robular snuck in some Aqua 1x8 plates to help me out when I did the Heart Lake City airplane, and he helped me out there. But you know, it's just kind of awkward amongst all the black, orange, and gray in the model, and then there's some Aqua plates underneath.
That's awesome. So one of the big things, one of our the Tricky Lug and TrickyBricks takeaways from the Andrea's house set is Liz, Andrea's little sister. Yes. We are obsessed with Liz. Like, we are huge Liz fans. And our next build challenge is actually Liz is a seed part. When that build challenge will start Sunday. So I know we were talking a little bit earlier, but can you tell everybody like kind of what your input on Liz was? So
Liz started, you know, she was going to be a regular mini doll size, right? We weren't going to use the tiny dolls, I like to call them. I guess maybe some people call them micro dolls. I prefer tiny dolls. Yeah. So originally they were meant to fit in the books, meant to be, you know, usable for the younger builders, of course.
Right.
But they could handle the mini doll too, of course. But it just looks so cool together. And it was just so fun. And I think a few of us designers on Friends at the time fell in love with the idea and kind of couldn't let it go. And eventually leadership relented. Sort of. And I'm really happy to hear that you like it, because we put a lot of effort into selling in the idea that, you know, we should have a little more visual variety there.
So basically, we have you to thank for little awesome size Liz.
Yeah, the friends team bought into the idea. Yeah, it was also a kind of similar story with using opalescent for water on more occasions. I think maybe there was an internal perception that it was going to be used more for crystals only. But then I think you can see it over my shoulder. But the waterfall jungle rescue, I tested it out there first, and it just looked a lot less mechanical than, you know, you're able to see some of the ridges on some of our translucent elements. So it had that kind of like splashing look to it, right? And it just felt special. So we went with it.
That's so awesome.
But then, back to Liz. We're also really, really working to put more diversity in our sets. And I think Friends right now is probably the best at that in Lego in some regards.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we've come a long ways as well. Right. So and you know, there's more efforts there still happening, and it's you know, it's something that we all feel really strongly about. And you know, so whenever you have ideas that you can share with the designer to, you know, add more diversity in that, they're very open to hearing about it.
That's awesome. Well, I know like the Women's Brick Initiative has done a lot of research into that, and I know that it's a push to try and have more of that, and also too, like it's a huge company, so the wheels turn maybe a little slower than a lot of people would hope. But I personally am just so like glad to know that it's being thought about and pushed forward as an idea. And then of course the Everyone is Awesome set, which just came out.
Yes.
I could not be, of course, as a gay man, could not be more thrilled with that set and just what it represents and what it means, and what a statement from a, you know, the biggest toy company in the world that everybody is included and everybody is thought of, and I think that's fantastic.
It really is.
Now I know. So I know you were talking about the diversity of Friends, and I know just recently, like maybe within the last year or two, the box art even changed. Like the girls were actually like their colors were even more diversified than they had been previously. And I think that's again just like what a great effort and a great way to introduce that. And if you know anybody over on the Disney side, just please tell them we want more Princess Tiana sets. More Princess Tiana. I need more.
I think I actually gotta watch how much I say here, but I think we know.
Okay.
And in the business, there's, you know, sometimes it's easy to think of Lego as an individual, right? Because the communication lines are so clean sometimes.
Right.
But it is a wide group of people with varying opinions, different, you know, maybe agendas, personal, or, you know, something they want to do in the company. And you know, there are those barriers that sometimes, you know, doing the right thing, you have to wear those barriers down somehow. You have to convince people, go around people, whatever it may be. And that, you know, I mean that in the most positive way, but
right.
It's because, and sometimes it's, you know, almost a victim of success where you're doing this, you know, you're like, well, that succeeded. Why don't we just keep doing that? And that's, you know, that's in my mind not very acceptable, right?
Right.
Got to continue to improve, continue to be aware and listen and self-evaluate, right?
Absolutely. Well, and I feel like definitely, again, more recently, like with the launch of the 18, you know, the more adult focused sets, and it just seems like Lego is really spreading its wings and, you know, and really trying their best to do. And I think too, what people need to remember is that it's, you know, again, with a big corporation, it's like everything can't happen all at once, all the time. Like there has to, you know, it takes a little while for things to happen, but I am super proud of the effort that's being put forward. And you know, I think it's just fantastic. So talking about friends, let's take a look at some things that you've designed, Joel. I have a here we go. I have BrickLink open with some pictures of some sets. Now, can I tell you? Well, I got to tell you, I am so happy. I was so happy when I started discovering more designers listing the sets that they had worked on BrickLink, like actually like having a list, because it's something that I've felt for a long time. It's like what you were saying. You were just talking about, like, I think many people, when they think of a corporation, when they think of Lego, it's like Lego is a thing. It's a a monolith, right? It's one thing, one face, and it's not. There's so much more to it. And I think especially in the last year or so, we've gotten a much bigger focus on designers and their work. And to me, that's just thrilling. As an artist myself, like, I want to focus on the individuals. Like, I want to focus on the people who are doing these things. So let's take a look at this first one, Heart Lake City Park. So tell us a little bit about your concepts for this.
I had a lot of free reign. It was essentially, make it about this price and the park, and then we had the graphic designers on the characters, choosing the characters. So I kind of build the story around the characters. So it's little Henry's birthday there. And I think one of the things that I really like about this set is that there's just a lot of little stories in it, right?
Yes.
I didn't really think in the end that was going to be such a big part of this job when I moved here 6 years ago. But it was, I've really kind of started to enjoy that more and more. So a little more about the set. You can't really tell from the image, but it has some splat gears, some plate gears that were one of my babies from when I first joined Lego. And they're hidden in the floor of the gazebo, and you turn the top of the gazebo and you have a little dance party going on in there.
That is awesome. And can I just say, that is one of the things that I love about friend sets is the play functions are always top notch, like really, really fun. And I will also say, we are big proponents of the splat gear here as well. We're big fans. Okay. So, wow, everybody, I hope you're paying attention. We have Joel to thank for a lot of our favorite pieces, and Liz. So,
stop. but thank you. I'm glad you like that piece. Some of the original inspiration was actually that there's a really old gear that had sort of bars sticking out the side, and those bars would break, so we stopped making it. And
I remember those.
In the 70s, right? So, I think the brief originally was, can you make more functional items that would be for everybody, of course, but also they could be used by younger builders. Right. And so splat gears don't require a lot of locking, and you can make things move without a lot of parts involved. So,
I've seen such amazingly clever uses of them just in people's mocks and stuff like that, like just really great. And I know, like, the Mel's ice skating rink, the winter set that used them as to great effect as well. That's just so cool. I love the swan boat. I love the inclusion of water and the little bridge. Like, it's all just really super cute. And I need that micro doll in my life.
And it's not very advertised on here, but the mushroom was made for this set. I had the option to make another color change, so I put the originally a BB-8 head in red because I thought the other people would use it. So,
that's awesome.
Other thing to sneak in there.
Yeah, I just saw that. So is that what that is? It's a BB-8 head?
Yeah.
In red. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at this next one. Forest Waterfall. Now, this is the one. Is this the one you were talking about earlier with the opalescent water?
This is a different one, but this is just a continuation of keeping with the it's an established color now. As long as we can, we'll use opalescent for the big splashes of water at least.
Yeah.
And this one I wasn't the designer on, but I helped out a lot on it because the designer on it was quite new and new to the role of finishing a product. He was an idea guy also. So it was especially fun. You're putting two idea guys together and doing the more engineering aspect of it, where you're getting it on price and working with the numbers and kind of the budgeting side of building.
Well, I'm loving the return of the those upside down flower pieces that formerly came in medium azure, and I've got like 1 million of them because they were on the wall. But I love seeing them in green, and the use of them as the bottom of a tree it's just really clever, and I think it adds a sort of fantastical element to it a little bit that I really, really appreciate. You may or may not know, we're also huge fans of elves. Like we are.
Oh man, aren't we all?
Yes.
Oh, I love elves.
I love elves. And actually we are I haven't scheduled it yet, but we do sometimes do history of shows about certain lines, and we are going to do a history of elves, and Wes has agreed to come on and talk with us.
That'd be fun
about that. Yeah, we're big fans of Wes over here as well. So, nice. Everybody, I see in the green room. Real quick, we're gonna step away from this real quick just to welcome our special guest host today and facilitator of this meeting. I might add, Holly. Hi, Holly.
Oh, hi. Mic check. Everything working?
Yes, you sound great.
Great. Hi, Joel. Good to see you.
Let me see. Can I do this? Yeah. See, that's much better. And everybody's like, okay, I'm just gonna roll back here. But
yeah, sorry, I'm late. I pulled a Richard. I have a day job and got stuck in a meeting, so I'm a terrible co-host.
No, it happens. You're working, which is great. So
allegedly.
Allegedly. Okay, so we were actually just over on. I'm hearing a little bit of echo. I don't know if somebody maybe can turn down their volume, Holly, a little bit. Like how I said somebody and then Holly. Yeah. So we were looking at Joel's work on BrickHeadz and talking a little bit about those. So let's get back to that. We just finished looking at the Forest Waterfall. Okay, Heart Lake High School,
brand new this month, right? Or recently?
Well, yes. For us later, I think, but yes.
Oh no, you guys have to wait too. That happens.
I know. So tell us a little bit about this one.
I can hear myself a little bit there. This one, I don't know what to say about it. It turned out very American.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just channeling my home country, I guess.
Well, so that's interesting that you would say that, because I know. Yeah, I'm hearing lots of echo. I'm not quite sure why. So I'm interested in knowing that, is that something that you take into account when you are designing something? You're like, oh, this is really a more sort of like, I know the modular building of the firehouse was very American, like in a way that some of the other sets weren't. And I'm just curious, is that something that you take into account when you're coming up with these ideas? Like, I need to, like this needs to look more European, or this needs to look more American, or how does that come into play?
As much as you want to go for a certain style, yes, and also to be aware of it, right? Like if other kids around the world wouldn't recognize this as a school, then I would definitely not want to go for it. But there's so much pop culture and kind of that type of reference that some American facade type schools have just kind of leaked into that kind of awareness, right? So you watch cartoons and they might reference this similar. So I was comfortable choosing this, and I thought it helped it not look like a box, right? Because I joke sometimes it's really fun for certain kids to just play with the box, right? And that's it, right? Because the inside is so much fun for them. Right. So, maybe for those kids, it could have just been a flat front and they would never even notice. Right. The rooms are so much fun for them, the interior detail.
Right.
So this, wanted to balance it out and give it kind of an interesting facade. And I think it's a little more of a neutral palette surprisingly, right? Like if you were
Yeah.
to kind of ignore the purple, then suddenly, is it still friend set in that regard? Like,
Yeah.
So
Some of
that
us
was-
are
that was
better
fun
at
one.
ignoring purple than others.
Here we go.
268, the dark purple. That's my favorite color. That's my
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that one.
Yeah, I don't mind the dark purple. It's the lavender that keeps coming up.
Yeah. Okay, let's not get into that one today.
But other fun thing about this set, let's see some fun details. It's a awesome parts pack if you like building buildings. There's a lot of stuff in there don't usually get in quantities in other places. And I'm not sure there's that many sets with this many trans light blue window panes.
Yeah.
So I really wanted it to be blue and not clear. In that sense, I think that it would help this out. There's a weird detail in it. On the interior, there's a music and drama room, and there's two shields, which are the drama masks. Was it tragedy and comedy?
Yeah.
And I made them in glow in the dark because we were going to use them in glow in the dark in this awesome theme, and they ended up not being a part of it. So this is the only set with these glow in the dark shields, and it's hidden away with stickers on it, so you can barely see.
Oh.
So a little special detail for anyone who wants a glow in the dark shield. You can trade with your friends there.
And as you say that, Bricks and Pieces is currently being sold out of those immediately because everybody is now online ordering them.
I will warn you, they're a little pricey on Bricks and Pieces. I already spotted them.
Oh, okay.
I think I ordered a couple, but they're pretty.
Well, I wish we could see a little bit more. Unfortunately, this is the only picture we have of this, but I'm curious how much. So you're doing your concept, and I'm curious, like how much, like how deep of detail do you go into? So like you're not just doing. Oh, did you have the box there?
Yeah.
Oh, let's check it.
So let's see if I can show it to you without glare. Oh yeah. So comedy and tragedy over here. Yeah. White stickers on a glow in the dark element, so you barely see the glow in the dark in the set.
Those are pretty.
As it is.
I don't even mind the stickers on those. Those are cool.
And who's this in the middle of the two characters?
This is. Let me make sure I get the name. Julian. And
so Julian's the gay best friend is what I'm getting out of this.
He's whatever you want him to be, Flynn.
I know. For me, he's the gay best friend because there's a drama room, so clearly that's where he came from.
And we talk about that stuff. Like we want you to be able to interpret him, in any which way as you choose. That's
That's awesome. That makes me so happy. So actually, I'm getting the heads up in the chat that it is time, everybody. It is 10:45, which means it's time for the pause that refreshes. Everybody, please welcome to the show our other very special guest who comes on every day. So I don't know if we can call him a special guest. The mascot, maybe, of our show. That's right, everybody. It's Logan Cookie Time. Logan! Wow, he's like not immediately here. Logan!
And sadly,
here he
Skittles is
comes.
at the vet today, y'all. So
He must have been asleep. Hi, there he is. Hi, Logan. Everybody's here. All your friends are here. They're super excited to see you. Let's say hi to the camera. Yay, Logan. And let's get another one. Yay, good boy. And one last one for that sound of happiness. There it is. Good boy, Logan. What a good boy. All right, everybody. That has been Logan Cookie Time. All right, Logan Cookie Time with our amazing animation by Yano River Blue, and yes, and thank you so much, Lego, for making a Logan poly bag because we love it. All right. So we've got, let's go back to this. All right. I'm going to be definitely getting a copy of this for sure. Okay. Now this is the set that you were holding up earlier. And can I just say right off the bat, this is the closest up I've seen it. And I'm noticing, first of all, that aqua hair that I remember from the Elves line, like that aqua color hair. I know it's not the same piece because it doesn't have the ears, but my absolute favorite detail of this entire thing, and there's a lot, but the fact that the horse is wearing a purple top hat is killing me. It's so good. So was that your idea, the purple top hat?
Yeah, I think I don't actually remember if it was specifically my idea, but once we realized we were going to do this, we needed a lot of ideas. So I want to say on this one, it probably wasn't my idea, but it's an element I worked on, and it might be the first Lego element. Not certain, but it might be the first Lego element with a tube connection, right? So you can put it on a stud, and then the pin on the other side, so you can put it on a head. That is genius. I love it. And a new horse design too, right? New horse design. Yep. Yeah.
It's
and
so
I think
great.
I think it's a different mane from the one that came in the vet. Yeah.
Looks like it. Very cool. And I love that printed like kaleidoscopy swirl thing on the side there. And of course the new ring element that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so the kaleidoscope design might give you a little hint to this, but when you roll the set, the ring rolls in the opposite direction. So it's resting on the wheels. Yeah.
I was wondering about that. That's just fantastic. Really cool. Really cool. Now I love this circus caravan is so great. And I really love the another horse with that same sort of like off to the side mane in white with black polka dots this time. Very nice. Oh, and the owl is wearing a top hat. The purple top hat is now a thing, I think, Joel, right?
You got it in my favorite color there, yeah. But yeah, this was designed by Anne, who's a fellow American I was on Friends with. And a little detail about this, it started with a concept model that I'd originally done for Elves. Right. Okay. So it's an older concept model at this point.
All right.
Older. So then she, took it in this different theme, and I don't know. It has a lot of detail on the inside that's really fun. And then we're going for on the fortune teller side, the little face you can see in there to spin it and see what your fortune is.
Is anyone else getting Haunted Mansion vibes here?
Yes, I am. Of course, I'm like trying to see if I have my Madame Leota around somewhere that I made, but I don't see her. But yes, it very Haunted Mansion vibe. I love this, and also it reminds me of. I know that there was a Tangled set that also had a caravan in it as well. That was really, I think Elia worked on. Really nice, and I can definitely see the Elves influence here, and again with that aqua hair piece. Which is, or that medium azure hair piece, which is great.
Actually, I have a question. So, Joel, how often does that happen that you guys have like scrapped concepts that you sort of regurgitate for other themes or other like later ideas?
Hard to say, but it definitely happens. And you hang on to those cool ideas, and we joke, you call it your backpack of ideas, right? So something that didn't work before, you're gonna still have it with you because maybe the kids in the test really loved it, but it didn't have a place in that theme you're working on. So then you're just looking for another spot for it.
I really love the owl with the heart, like the sort of like the heart print on the front. And I was a big fan. We're big fans of all of the animals that were in Elves because they all have like little magical tattoo, like little things on. And we featured those owls heavily in one of our mocks, and with one of them with a tiny crown on. So seeing it with the purple hat makes me very happy. More animals with hats on.
Noted.
Okay, here we go. This one is now. Can I enlarge this up a little bit? Nope. It doesn't want to enlarge. There we go. Let's talk about The boombox.
The boombox. Yeah. So I just did the original. And so this was Matthew Ashton, if you know the name.
Yes, we've interviewed him on the show before.
Oh, awesome. Yes, Matthew's wonderful. Yeah, he's my role model. So Matthew, it was during a creative boost, right? You had all these ideas to work on, and I really wanted to contribute on what at the time was the early ideas for what video would be.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about what musical icon would be fun to play with. Could it transform? And as soon as he said transform, I had to work on it. So
yeah.
So even though I was booked up with ideas that I already wanted to work on that week, I was just really excited about it and carved out some time out of my life to do something I knew I'd care about a lot. So it was really fun working on all the figuring out the layout. How are you going to get the most space? How are you going to get enough space for all the turning things? And I didn't think Wes was going to be able to shrink it and keep all the moving bits, and he did. So because I think my original would have been much closer to like $150 model, and this is $100. So
wow.
Yeah,
wow.
He was able to keep all the details, including the open back where there's a little lounge area for the characters. So way to go, Wes.
Yeah, well, and I also love something that I've loved about these new the new video pieces is the turning, that you can like make different sets. Like it's not just one color or one group of colors. You can actually like turn it and definitely create it back. So it's really great. Now you were mentioning to me when we spoke earlier about the that you kind of like signed off on this early on, and then you didn't really. Yeah. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. So after doing the concept model, Vidiyo was still going through a lot of testing, a lot of development processes. And this was we knew it was going to be a little bit of the piece tying it all together. So it wasn't just one theme, it was kind of the multi-themed set of the product line.
Mm-hmm.
And so from the time I did that until I actually saw it again was like a year, it seemed like. So somewhere around there. And then Wes was halfway done at that point with the development process on that side of it. And it was really cool to see how much it had jumped towards looking more final and all that.
So so I'm curious, when you sorry, like this Liz conversation is killing me. I'm curious, how often does it happen that you like you come up with your concept designs and ideas and then put them out there, and then like whatever 6 months later they're like, oh look, here's this thing that you did, or are you often like kept up on it as it's going along?
I think you have the choice to keep up on it, but it's more, it's not within your responsibility. So it's more, you're just walking by their desk and maybe you had some ideas that you didn't get in the original, but maybe you could share those ideas and they would be able to use them.
Right.
So,
wow.
Yeah, it really depends project to project. So, sorry for the vague answer, but I think sometimes like with the mall. With the mall, it was a continuous development, and I started it and then handed it off, and David Tausia took it the rest of the way. David, sorry.
Is this the one you were talking about?
Yeah, and so David that worked on it, he just has an amazing flair for fashion, and it really shows here. Where I think my style, I might have made it look too organized, maybe, and I just love what he did because it feels lively.
It really does, and I have to say, like. And this is saying a lot for Friends, one of the more colorful Friends sets, just overall. There's a lot more variation in colors, and they're really, really beautiful. They work really beautiful together. I love the kind of subtle rainbow striping, the pink, yellow, and blue striping on it. I think looks really incredible. And wow, just there's just so much about this that I love. Another one that I'm going to need to get, and I need to go to a mall that has a slide. Thank you. Like that's awesome.
And now, the escalator element, that was a tough one.
Yeah,
that was So then my development in it was, I was basically challenged, Joel, can you make an escalator work? And the best I could do without making a new element was really complicated, right? So not impossible, just not appropriate for the age group that we would want to have access to this. And so this element went through so many, kind of figured out what the gears were going to be under it, what the tread was going to be, and that was pretty easy. But then after that, getting the angles right, getting the, was it going to be studs or what we I don't know what you call it, but a foot plate, the thing you can stick them onto that the legs pin onto.
Yep.
Yeah, and it ended up having to be that in part because when you get to the top of the escalator or the bottom, right, if they're on studs, they end up breaking your model because the stud is pushing the foot into the wall. Yeah. And then there's some other, like, we try not to do studs at angles unless it's a highly specialized piece. So
well, I gotta say this includes something that I've really enjoyed in a lot of sets recently, and I've actually used in I saw it used in a fan model, and then I used it in a model that I did, and that is these flat round tiles inside of the 1x5 column that's hollow inside. It's perfect. Yeah,
credit to Nick Voss on that because he did it in Ninjago City.
Yep.
The first Ninjago City. Yeah.
Really, really great. And I know Holly is like biting her tongue about the lavender, but I gotta say what I love about this, because I do agree sometimes like the color choices can sometimes be a little jarring in certain things, but I gotta say this, I love the how it changes, like dark purple on the bottom, with medium lavender in the middle, and then the light lavender on top. It's such a great little just I don't know a range of colors. The way that it's expressed like that, I really.
That's right, Holly. You just have to tell yourself it's not lavender; it's a purple gradient.
I buy that. I do like the color striping. The color striping's pretty good. Like I like the little hints of color. It's just those like base plates, the really colorful base plates. Sometimes I have a hard time accepting.
Hey, Shy Time is My Time is here. How's it going? Good to see you. Who will soon be a guest on one of our Sunday shows, by the way. I'm excited for that one. Well, I love the stickers over each of the stores, and I love that the little photo taking booth is adorable. That's actually the one with the mermaid and the sailor was one of my favorite pieces from one of those older friend sets. Really, really cool. Oh, and we have a baby in this one, everybody. So I love that. Now this one is the little baby that's swaddled, right? Like it's got my favorite swaddled baby will always be Baby Voldemort, but that's like a whole
funny.
That's a whole separate show. And I love that we have again the micro dolls. What a brilliant thing that to know that you pushed for those, because it really does make a difference in the variation of the characters, and because otherwise everybody kind of seems like they're the same age, sort of, and that really gives you a difference, kind of like along the lines of when they came out with the short legs that actually move on minifigs.
Yeah,
really, really, really great.
Yeah. So back on elves, we had the little sister was introduced. Right. We were exploring how are we going to do this? Can we do shorter legs? But it doesn't work well with the torso. It just looks like shorter legs on a regular sized person. It's different from a minifigure that way because you perceive it as a little bit more realistic. Right. Because you don't have the sharp angles on the minifigure. So back then without the element, I think we just did freckles more. And, kind of relied on the graphics.
So am I getting now? I didn't clue into this before because I don't think I saw it on your list here. But you worked on elves.
Yeah, and that was primarily concept. That was one of the first things I came into when I joined Lego, working on elves, and it was what ended up being the year with the Goblin King. Oh, the little tribe of goblins out in the jungle stealing away the little sister.
Yes, we I looked I got that set specifically for the goblins and for that green transparent giant disc with the swirlies on it.
Nice,
which
yeah.
I have been looking for a reason to use like since I got it, and I finally had the opportunity like about a month ago for a Maleficent build that I did, and it was like the perfect thing to go behind the castle to look like scary magic. But wow, that's so cool. I guess I don't know why I didn't. Maybe it is on here and I just didn't see it. But that makes me super excited that you worked on elves too. My goodness, maybe we'll have to have you back when Wes is here, so y'all can go talk about that together.
Yeah, did you work on Vidiyo with Wes? Because I know Wes was on Vidiyo doing some.
So I only joined Vidiyo back in January. So I was on Friends for 2 years before that, and Lego Movie 2 before that, and then I guess I didn't really give you my history, but before that I was in part of the organization called the CPL, so Creative Play Lab, and that's sort of the idea centric arm of it. So things like Vidiyo and some of our other app oriented things. I think Mario was being developed over there for a long time first. So yeah, I was in that area, and that's part of how I was able to crank out ideas for lots of themes. So like, for example, I was never on the Harry Potter team, but I did the concept models for some of the Harry Potter sets, and even BrickHeadz. Wasn't on that team and just loved character building. Like if you guys remember Cube Dudes from, I don't know, about 10 years ago or so. Yeah, Cube Dudes where I must have made 100, 150 of them. I just really enjoyed them. So, it was just kind of translating that over, that same kind of fun. And then at one point had my daughters, Frozen was huge at the time, and it had like one on each knee, and I'm trying to work in like LDD at home just for fun, making a Elsa and Anna, and and at the time I was making it for fun, but then brought it into work. Like, look, we could do this. So.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, we could go through all of these, but I do want to make sure we have time to highlight and talk about some special ones. So here I'm gonna. The aforementioned Andreas family house, which we are big fans of, yes. And just to remind everybody how awesome it is, and those rounded windows. And Liz,
I'm so happy you like it. I'm quite proud of how this one turned out.
It was great, and we so enjoyed putting it together here on the show when we did it. It was just such a blast. Oh, and it looks like Holly's got is showing her live version. Nice. It was interesting.
Don't be offended, but I did swap out the base plates.
The tan? Base plates. Oh,
where was it? Lavender? The kitchen?
These base plates up here were all lavender.
Oh, the top floor. Yes.
Yeah,
I could understand, but I love the way it makes a gradient stripe on the outside.
Yes. Yeah, I left that. Right. I left the lavender hint on the outside because my whole thing was there was so much color going on inside. I really wanted these colors to kind of stand out and pop, and it was
I totally get that.
Yeah, it was competing with that lavender base plate, so I did a little bit more of a neutral base plate, so the rest of that stuff would really stand out. And I also swapped out the solar panels because I don't like stickers.
Ooh, you got the big ones, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah, you upgraded. Your solar's now more efficient.
Yep, I got an upgrade. Yep. Pretty.
So
sweet.
I got a question for you, because this is a funny one to me. There's 2 dark tan elements on the back of it. What do you think those are? 2
dark tan elements on the back of it.
Yeah, and they're sort of higher up. One's in the top left. One's sort of in the middle left with the bird on it.
Oh.
And one's in the top right. Yeah.
I wondered about that. I saw that the bird was perched there, so I thought maybe it was supposed to be a nest, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Oh yeah, you're right. There's another one here. Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be nest. I was going for there's the nest in the kitchen, and the bird can sit right above where its food's stored.
Yeah.
And then the other, it's in the bedroom, so it's got to be able to, kind of sleep near them. But this is where sometimes you're trying to cram in so much detail and fun that if it's not shown on the box specifically, that was just my imagination. There's not many people are going to make that connection. I think I saw a
There's a
few
bird
reviews
sitting
like,
on it.
I don't
It's kind
understand
of a
this dark
giveaway.
tan piece, but and they're completely understandable, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times I rely on like the girls are going to color code it, or girls, everyone playing with it, and so that was one where I definitely overstepped how easy it was to understand it.
Well, I just wanted to. So yes, we are super big fans of this, and fans of Friends in general. And something that you mentioned earlier, and I completely agree with, is I feel, and I've said this many times, I feel like Friends is often overlooked and sort of just, like whether it's like I've actually heard people say, I really like that set, but I didn't buy it because of the mini dolls. And I actually responded to somebody once on the internet. I was like, if you are letting a mini doll keep you from purchasing this set, then you are missing out on so much. Just like an incredible amount of awesome play functions, amazing colors. And I think it's a shame that it doesn't have the kind of the kind of attention that I feel that it rightly deserves, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dividing line.
Well,
oh yes, and Donna's hairpiece as well, the mom.
Yeah,
also really awesome hairpiece.
Sorry, so what were you saying, Joel, about the mini dolls, or what?
So it's an interesting kind of dividing line, because you could, if you want to like segment people here, there's the people that love building and maybe they're not as concerned with what figure comes in their set. The figures are a decoration for what they build, right? But then sometimes there's somebody who they need it to be a mini doll. They want to know, like, okay, this is clearly more effeminate, and then, you could even take a specific example of like maybe there's that one girl who needs to know that toy is intended for girls, and that's where it's sometimes you feel it's kind of a shame. You want everybody to be able to embrace everything, but you also have to accept that they're going to develop that eventually, right? And that's where inclusivity in our sets is so important, in my view, that you want to have, like, they can understand, okay, like this is like what I understand now, but you want to also include this so that they have access to a broader understanding and acceptance of how the world works.
Well, and I think something that you just said is an incredibly important point. There are, it's important to a lot of kids, especially ones who, like with the way the toys are marketed, to feel like, oh, this is for me. This is one that my little brother's not going to want because, whatever, but that's fine because this is for me. I mean, it's obviously not always the case, but I'm saying, don't shake your head, Holly. You know what I'm saying.
Sorry, I've got the girls and boys fighting over these Friends sets. So that's
that's absolutely. Awesome. But when we're talking, there are those. I mean, I teach kids in classes, and I see how differently they react to the different things that we have. And and I had when I was working for another company, I had like a bin of minifigures that the kids could use, and I would open the bin and let them take out whatever. And so often I had girls and boys asking for mini dolls, and we didn't have them. And I just appealed to the company. I was like, could you please provide us with some mini dolls, because there are people that want to see them. So, oh, and Kevin is here. I'm Board Toys. How's it going? Good to see you. And I saw Miss Slowbrickta, our Lego master. What was that?
I said Kevin's a big fan of Joel's.
Yes. Kevin is awesome. So yeah, let me go. I want to look at some other. Now, this is a personal favorite of mine. This next set we're about to show.
Can I throw one more detail on Andrea's house?
Yeah, please.
What did you think of the coin in the couch?
Oh, we laughed about that on the stream when we discovered it. We laughed about that. So it was so clever. Was that you?
Yeah. And it was a little bit rebellious of me, because normally it's like, well, it's a printed element. Why are you hiding it? It's like, but it's, it's just a little thing, and it's for those who actually get the set. It's, a surprise.
That's the point. I love the details that you can only find by building. I think that's genius. Yes.
Nice. Okay. I'll keep doing that then.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's those little tiny details that make the sets relatable, right? Like it's not just like a house. It's like, oh, it's not just a house with dolls. It's like there's people who live here and they have money that falls out of their pockets in the couch. It's just really, I thought that was brilliant. It was just really smart and clever. And yes, please,
Thanks.
more of that.
Okay.
Okay, so this one is one of my favorites for multiple reasons. Those chevron-shaped trans blue pieces, the translate blue pieces, or the shield-shaped ones, are absolutely beautiful. And I'm also like a huge Balthazar fan, and that crystal hair piece was just, wow, truly cool. So I'm curious, how different is it? Okay, well, first of all, I should say, I know you worked on you worked with the movie now. Did you? Okay, I'm trying to phrase my question the right way. Did you conceive of this and then it was used in the movie, or did they say, here's what it looks like in the movie, make a set of it?
A little bit of back and forth. So things like the cat and the octopus, I had like an army of a variety of those. Right. And I just thought they're hilarious, and it seemed like it would fit with the tone of the characters that they had an idea for. So maybe they storyboarded and, okay, we're in a certain world and we're going to come up with a theme for it. And the art director is going to start off with, like, well, here's 3 possibilities. And maybe he feels strongly about, it needs to be crystalline, a little bit of spooky, haunted, but you don't realize it at first, right? It's going to be nice and pretty at first, but then something's not quite right. Right. So he's balancing this. So then he sends over some art, and maybe it's early doodles, and we, build some cool stuff, send it back. Maybe he's got comments like, no, I meant this. And then so that was usually, we don't work that way, where we're contributing so much to the concept art. And there are a lot of these items from the movie, or even scenes, the look of it may have started with anybody's idea, anybody with any involvement in the movie. Designer Matt Ashton, anyone from our side as well as from their side, and in the end, our role was essentially to feed them ideas, and it was sort of their call, but then we had to approve their call. So it was such a hodgepodge that we all felt like really, kind of sense of ownership of each stage of it.
Interesting. That's I've always wondered how that, like, kind of how that works. So
and that wasn't typical. It was kind of unique to that movie.
Yeah. Now, these next 2 are huge favorites of, well, first of all, this one is a favorite of the stream. Everybody here, the pop-up party bus. We actually built this a while back and have brought it out on several occasions on the show. And we even hooked in Kevin, I'm Bored Toys, was like, I need this immediately, and went and got a copy. So this is so incredibly clever. And I see now that, like, the kind of correlation between this and the Vidiyo boombox, this sort of like open it up, and of course the splat gears. Yeah, open this up, and all of the things inside. So again, was this sort of like you were talking about, a back and forth between like movie concept, set concept?
Yeah, so I think some of the early brief for this, and this one was a bit rushed. So I got away with a lot of it being my influence, much more than usual, because it was rushed. So they're like, okay, need some sort of pipe detail in the back. Try to think Yellow Submarine, but different colors. And maybe not Yellow Submarine, but similar artwork. Yeah. And
Peter Max.
And when you say, like, okay, there's like that style of like an old Beatles music video, but a spaceship, but a bus that goes through a friends-ish town, but also, is at home in space. So they're throwing this, like, it felt pretty free, and it felt like they had all kinds of cool ideas. And funny thing about the cockpit on the front, the windshield used there, that was their idea. I originally had, it's like 6x6x10. There's 4 of them on Ship in a Bottle. it's an older piece.
Uh-huh.
Right. So it's the very large quarter dome. I had that set on the front at a 45-degree angle and just closed the gaps with some curve slopes and things. And it was a bit complicated. I thought it was a cool way to use the piece, and Ship in a Bottle had just brought that piece back from the dead.
Right.
And I think whoever was on their side trying to use LED didn't know what piece I used, and then put the UCS Slave One canopy in there. And that just looks so cool to me. I was like, wow, okay, you nailed it. Rolling with this. And it, so it was one of those, it was kind of an accident in a way. Yeah. So that was good that we could still use it. And then the development time on this was like 3 weeks or something.
Whoa.
It was from the time they were like, okay, that's the idea. So not the total development time, that would be wild. But from like it being like, okay, here's like 2 or 3 ideas we could go with. One it opened more like a tackle box, but on both sides. So then you had all these platforms. That was a little harder to play with because when you push on it, it fell over, or it's complicated in a different sort of way, a less good way, I would say.
And I'm sitting here trying to think like what I would have said if I was presented with the idea of, okay, we want this to be in the style of Beatles' Yellow Submarine, but it's a spaceship that is also a bus. I would have just been like, what are you? I have no idea where to go with this. So kudos to you.
But it really helped having the story beats. So I think they could have almost not said any of that and been like, okay, it rolls through a town pretending to be a sort of a normalish vehicle that's got more style to it. But then it also is a spaceship. So, when you say nothing visual about it, right? Then, like, here's its purpose. Here's what it does. Who's in it? It's big. It should feel like it can fit a lot, even if maybe the toy can't necessarily.
Sure.
50 minifigures. But so that, and then the light brick idea was one that I had in my backpack. So I had brought that idea with me for ages and just kind of had it, in the back of my mind. Like at some point, this awesome dragon egg has to have a light shown through it because that effect is awesome.
Yeah, that was one of the more brilliant parts of this set. Like everybody who's put it together is like, oh, and then the light brick shining through the egg. Yeah, and those dragon eggs are just amazing pieces as well. I love it. And I find it the juxtaposition of like the giant bus spaceship with the super tiny wheels to be very funny. It's just really good.
Yeah, it was a little bit like, well, in airplanes kind of gives you that sense, but also the animation style of the old music videos that they were talking about.
Too good.
This is one of my favorite
that was a
sets,
fun one.
for real. Like this one stays on my table. I love everything about
that. Was the first set that I ever finished as like the designer on it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's definitely a kind of special place.
Yeah, even my husband likes this set, and he doesn't care about Lego at all, but he thought this was a cool design too.
Okay, extra points when the non-Lego fans appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really really good.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah,
it's been a favorite around here for quite some time. So, and then this next one, I was blown away when we first got this, which was now several years back. The shaping of this, like the way that the roundness was achieved and like the parts used to create it. And of course, love the balloon parts, the color scheme, that pink window, but really just that, and it's dense, actually.
I can't see what you're talking about, but you must be talking about the.
Oh, sorry. Whoops. Yeah, this is our
the
ship.
Balloon elements gave it away. Yeah.
Yeah. That was my bad. I forgot to put it up.
This was so Jason finished this one. I always got to make sure to give him credit because if I just did the concept, I don't want to leave their name out of it. So Jason finished this as well as he did the Crystal Spa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but okay, so. Sorry, back to where you were before I so rudely interrupted.
No. We had to look at it. I'm famous for not putting the things up or not showing my down cam when I'm building and I'm just talking like, oh, look at this cool thing, and no one knows what I'm talking about. No, I was just saying like it's dense, like for what it is. Like it is a dense set, like to achieve that that shape, that like eyeball, spaceship shape, was like, that's like an intense amount of engineering that went into that.
Yeah. It I mean, it really does, right? It feels like you're picking up a brick, kind of. I mean, like not a Lego brick, a brick and mortar brick.
Yeah. Yes, it's heavy. Yeah. It is heavy.
But and I think it's our first toilet in a spaceship, which I was pretty insistent on making sure we got. It won't be our last, but it was our first.
Well, I love the I also really loved the stickers, like the stickers coming out the back. That was so clever. Like what a really fun
there's a lot
thing.
Of people having to fight because that's so out of the ordinary for our process. Right? A lot of people had to really kind of put their back into making sure that was even possible and working through it.
Interesting.
I think one of the special moments for me when we were filming on set and we were just about to do a take and I better not get her name wrong, but Brooke, I think her name is Brooke, she started playing with it. She couldn't help herself. She's supposed to be focused, right? We're about to do another take. Yeah, and she was going to get to play with it later anyway, but she just couldn't help, like she's opening it, trying to see what's in one door, what's in the other door. So that was cool to see.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, it's a great, what a really great design. I thought the ship designs in that movie in general were just really, really smartly done and slick. And I really loved the color combos.
Yeah, we had some passionate space builders on that team. The Logan movie
Joel,
2
didn't
team,
I read about something where you guys were prototyping like a Darth face ship or something?
Yeah, I had to build it. I didn't come up with it, but I had to build somebody's LDD of it. So somebody in Hollywood sent us over a file, and I had to build. It was Death Star sized, and it had a face on it. And the idea was that the minifigures were maybe perceiving that as the little sister, right? Yeah, they were still kind of figuring that out. But then in that universe, it didn't make sense that they would perceive a person as brick built.
Right.
So then you kind of rethought, as well as it wasn't fun or appealing, it was creepy.
Okay, so here's a big one. I'm gonna tell a tale, and it's probably really embarrassing, but when we were on Lego Masters, it was Black Friday weekend, and this was going to be on sale, and the Ninjago City docks were going to be on sale, and I had to choose one. And I ended up going with the docks because I already had Ninjago City, and I don't regret getting the docks. I regret not getting this one.
I hear that. Yeah.
It's so brilliant. And of course, when I saw the movie, the Planet of the Apes is one of my very favorite. Like, that's one of those movies where, like, if it's on TV and I'm flipping channels, I will 100% stop and just like watch it. So I'm curious, like, was that your idea, or did that come up from a group, or how did this happen?
So this was in the movie, and that scene, since it was early in the movie, was a lot more developed. So we knew it was there, and I kept thinking that would be so cool to do, and we didn't know if it was going to be smaller, bigger, but I kept convincing, like, this is such an icon. Like, the clever movie people wrote this understandable, fun, and when you think about the cuteness of Bricksburg in the first movie and how pristine, cute all that is compared to what they're trying to communicate with, Batman's got his tire armor and, things have gotten ridiculous, that this is kind of perfect centerpiece for all the ridiculousness. And I was just with words at this point trying to sell in the idea, like, look, we could do this. And I think a lot of people on the team wanted to as well. And there was maybe some political hesitation, even like, are Americans going to be offended? And I was like, no, America loves a good apocalyptic movie, and we have that kind of in the culture, right? It's fun to play out that idea. And so eventually they relented and, like, okay, we have an opening where this might make sense. you've got 3 days. Yeah, it was along those lines, like, okay, I better do this. So, I may have pulled a late night or two to get it to where I wanted, and then and that was my whole involvement. Was just that, and then stopped there, handed it to Justin, and I think this model you can really get a lot of Justin's style in it. I somehow see the choices he makes really show up in this one, where he has a knack for something that it almost feels more natural because it's a little bit more random, and it's hard to achieve a true random feel of things.
Oh yeah,
the lounge, even, or what are you guys calling it, a lounge or a sofa? The chair,
Mm-hmm.
like made its appearance here.
Yeah, that's right.
Signature.
And the basketball hoop was he kept a lot of the detail I started with, but he made it so much better. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. Mine was not nearly as good. I think
he probably had more than 3 days.
Yeah, he had a few more. But this is another one where I'm just so impressed with Justin and really appreciate how awesome it turned out.
So I'm curious. So, like, the people who were questioning the use of the Statue of Liberty and if people would be offended and stuff, like, did they know the reference, like the Planet of the Apes thing, or was
it's actually not just Planet of the Apes. Like, if you start looking around, there's tons of apocalyptic movies. It's Planet of the Apes is maybe the most famous one, right? When they're on the beach there.
Yeah.
But I think even in a movie that's a joke about apocalyptic movies, like the Statue of Liberty's on the front with a snorkel ready for the wave to hit already, something like that.
Right. Well, I mean, I think for me it's the angle in which it's sticking out.
Yeah,
is
quite
what makes
similar.
me think of Planet of the Apes. Like, it was the first thing I thought of when I saw it, and I was like, that is genius. But I also too, what I love about that is that you can include a joke or a reference that people from multiple generations will understand, even if it's not the same exact reference point, but that many people can understand that yes, like that apocalypse is a thing where we see that often, and it's just really, really smart and fun.
Yeah, and I think a lot of credit to Phil Lord and Chris Miller and whoever they're working with in the art department at the time. Right?
Yeah,
because it feels very them to me. Right?
Oh, so sorry. I just saw that Bricks and Mortar just slipped in. Jamae is here, and it's her birthday. So happy birthday, Jamae. We're looking forward to having you on the show on Sunday. It's going to be awesome. All right, so let's go. Let's scroll through some more here. So I see you did a lot of work on a lot of BrickHeadz that you were like talking about earlier.
Yeah, and finished very few of them, but some of them are almost identical to what I made. But like the Kylo Ren and Rey, I think I was like scratching for super early Episode 7 concept art.
Right.
And these are way better than what I did.
So just so you know, this Harry Potter and Hedwig one is the very first set that we ever put together on this show 244 episodes ago.
Nice.
And it was like a test stream at night. And when we did our 200th episode, we actually showed a clip from it. And it was so embarrassing because I didn't realize until later that the mic was on before we started, and you could hear us saying like, oh, don't forget to click that thing. Oh, do you think they'll be able to hear us? Yeah, I don't know. It's really embarrassing. And then also I will say that this Belle and Beast, now those, am I wrong, but weren't those like the first BrickHeadz?
Yeah, they're in the first group.
Yeah, we so I mean, these are the first BrickHeadz that I own personally. Like, we have, and I still have them. They sit with me and Richard's self-made BrickHeadz that we made of ourselves. But nice. They're just so great, and it was interesting to see now how much they've evolved. Like BrickHeadz just in general have evolved. And
the hair on Belle looks so simple compared to the newer ones, right?
Yeah, well, I was just about to say too, the thing with like hair because the faces are square, are square blocks and they don't have a whole lot of expression to them, the hair is what sells a lot of these characters, right? Like it's a big defining factor of these models. And I mean, yes, it looks simple, but also is perfect, right? Like it didn't need to be more complicated than it is. And I really appreciated the hinge on the back with the top knot. I just thought that was really clever. Now, excuse me. What was that like? Just sort of like launching a line like that? Like, is this like a brand new thing that's never been seen, never been done? Like, how was that?
So my buddy Austin, who's a graphic designer, currently on City, he actually built these, and I think he posted a few of them on Flickr long before we launched the product line.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget which characters he built, but it was it wasn't from one of our licenses.
Got it.
But then so he had that idea and he pitched it at a Creative Boost Week, and I think Matt Ashton really understood the appeal of it, and really he was a big factor in helping to sell it in. And then I jumped in when it got to the point where it's like, okay, we think we're going to do this. Let's see some ideas for what characters we could do.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people were doing Star Wars superheroes licenses we had. And I looked around and realized I was the only one with kind of familiarity with toy lines that would be more focused on like a princess or even just like making sure there was some female superheroes in there. Like Gamora, who was one of my daughters, for some reason, had this connection with Gamora. Never seen the movie or anything, but she just thought she was cool. So, and I cranked out a huge amount of ideas for that, and a lot of them didn't make it through, of course. But that's part of the design process that doesn't. No one's really out there bragging about, oh, we got all these ideas rejected. You wouldn't believe it, But that's part of the fun too. Is like you want to push the boundaries.
Yeah.
So then, so it went from Austin pitching this concept, and Lego had already done a few Cube Dudes as Comic-Con exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
So, it wasn't totally unfamiliar. And Cube Dudes, just by nature, were a little bit too fiddly, especially for younger builders.
Sure.
And so the idea was sort of planted in the ethos. Austin takes it farther. Matthew pushes it, and then we have a Creative Boost trying to see what ideas could be possible, then present it to marketing and other parts of leadership that would be able to evaluate it in different ways. So, and then it came to be eventually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say? Could you just, this is a totally weird random question, but what project have you worked on that had kind of the longest time between concept and then actual, like, there it is as a finished product?
Vidiyo was pretty long.
Yeah.
I think it started long before I even did the boombox concept model.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty long. And part of the reason for that is you're looking at just a wide variety of ideas, partnerships, there's so much to consider. But other one, I think Hogwarts was one of those where, maybe it might have been 2.5 years, a little over 2 years between concept model and launch.
It's a beautiful set. Oh my goodness.
Oh, so
Thanks.
between you and Justin, whose idea or someone else's, whose idea was it initially for the trophy?
That was my idea, and I used to work at Legoland back in the day, so I think it gives me a little advantage on that. I flex between different scales really easily. And maybe that's just my building style. I don't know. So some people are just awesome at mechs and spaceships and things like that, as an example, or some like building, gorgeous buildings. And I don't have a style that suits any one specific. I think my style overall, you'll find fewer special elements and a little more basic brick.
Sure.
But you might not notice it. I think Party Bus is a good example. There's a surprising amount of basic brick in there for something that's, round overall. Well, I'm going off on a tangent here. You're asking about Hogwarts. So Justin took that over and kept the trophy scale. And then he was coming up with ideas for the different characters in the house. And I think the boats are identical to the original concept model. So the scale is what I went for too.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, but I didn't touch the interior. Like the pitch was, just this like shell because I made it in so little time. So when you turn it around, you have to be careful turning around. It might fall apart if you sneeze. So Justin had his work cut out for him there, and then gave it the so many references and fun. So yeah,
well, I had this up, so I got to come back to it because elves love this. This was like maybe the third elf set that I bought. Because we were like, elves was actually just on its way out when we started on in the hobby. So we caught like the last two waves of it. And just a huge fan of this set. I really like one of my favorite parts of this were the quarter round purple with the little quarter round, the tombstone shaped tiles on it for the shingles. I just thought that was so beautiful, that's
Wes's influence for sure.
Oh, okay, yes, I can see that. I can absolutely see that. Well, and how cool, like, because I know Wes is a big Dungeons and Dragons nerd, just like we are. So I loved seeing his influence. Like you can see that in this, right? Like you can see that he's somebody that really appreciates fantasy, like that particular type of fantasy.
When we were settling on goblins, or actually when we were just coming up with the idea of goblins, I realized one of the things that might end up being really appealing is you could do tiny houses. And Medieval Market Village, it was a super special set that I thought, it had an impact on me. And my original pitch was, why don't we do basically a Medieval Market Village for these goblins, so it'd be scaled way down. Almost a half scale, so you can kind of see the mood of it, at least with like there's the two buildings, they each have their own sort of role there. When you get into the little story details, you can see like one's maybe a blacksmith, he's got his he's cutting wood on one side. So it was a little bit. It was a cousin of it.
Well done there, Joel, because that's the first. Medieval Village is one of my favorite sets too. It's like kind of when I was coming back from my Dark Ages, and I was like, "Ooh, this reminds me of castles that I played with as a kid." So really special to me too, and that's the first impression I got from this set, that it reminded me of that.
Well, and what's really great too is one of the things I loved about elves was the playfulness of angles that were used, like especially like the crystals that would come like sort of jutting out at an angle from the various things. Like I just and again, this was really, really early on in our Lego career, if you want to say, like our Lego collecting career. And I found those things very influential in my building, in that I was like, oh, everything doesn't have to be straight up and down. Like there are ways that you can angle things out and then cleverly cover the hinge so that you can't see. Like I learned so much from this particular set in my building. So thanks for that. I appreciate that. So, and then we're just going to do a couple more here. And then I know we promised you an hour and a half, so I don't want to keep you too long. But this was another. Now, tell us, I know we kind of touched on it before, but how much of this ended up being like what you had conceived of in the beginning?
I think this one, maybe less than others. So I handed this one off to Wes. And at the time when we were coming up with the what would be year 3 for elves, we were working really closely with each other in a small team. So passing things between each other was pretty easy, or even just being able to comment while you're building at a table together. Right. It's pretty easy. So I was really trying to get some swirling vines. And I think my original idea, the proportion of tree to castle was almost flipped. Like there would be more tree with castle built in between them.
Oh, got it.
And this made a lot more sense because then they're out of Albandale now, right? Maybe there's less foliage, and the foliage that there is dangerous.
Yes.
Right. So even the the ones that don't have teeth at least have spikes.
Right.
Right? So, and as well as the red. So one little sneaky thing in here. At the time, the macaroni brick, the 2x2 quarter circle brick in sand green was something like $25 on BrickLink. And that's because it was in the old Statue of Liberty from around the year 2000.
Right.
It was 1999, way back when. Anyway, it was only in that set, and for everyone that wanted to rebuild that set, you're going to have a hard time finding that specific piece. So I thought I'd help those people out and suggested that we make sure to get those bricks in there.
That's very thoughtful.
Right? So we have those conversations. We try to find, what's requested, what's missing. Well,
I love that.
we might be designers, but a lot of us are fans too.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. Keep them coming.
Yes. Well, and I love to hear that because, again, this is kind of calling back to something we talked about towards the beginning of the show, is that concept of, Lego being a monolith company. Like it's, you just think Lego, you don't think about necessarily all the time the people that make up that and how many people these sets go through before they become, like on the show. And to know that there is a faction of people who are actively thinking about the fans and what they might want, or a specific part or a special thing that they might want out of it, is, to me, extremely gratifying to know.
Joel was a fan before you were a designer, yeah?
Yeah. Let's see. I found the fan community at the end of something like 2008. Really? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I started Legoland in 2009. So I was living in Seattle at the time. Didn't know about the fan community. Didn't realize I was surrounded by an amazing fan community there. Walked into the Lego store in the mall and overheard somebody say the word Lego convention. It's like, okay, I got to Google that. What is that? I need to know. And there was one coming up in Portland, and went there. And then there was a recruiter for Legoland there, and got plugged into the community. Met a lot of awesome people there, and then started Legoland. 6 years there, now 6 years here. So
now I want to touch on this last one. And I got to say, I'm not necessarily like a car person, but this one is interesting because it is a complete departure from everything else we've looked at today. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'm not a car person either. So I have to admit, when I saw this on Ideas, I don't know if I ever remembered it from real life, like image or anything.
Right.
And what was so appealing to me was how complex some of the angles and the closeness of some of those angles was. And the fan model is just amazing. And the fan model was one of those, like, you couldn't like drop it off a table and expect it to stay together, because the attention to detail and just the love for making sure every little thing in there. And it wasn't a digital build either. Right? They shipped it to us in a box, if I remember right.
Wow.
And so my involvement on this was to kind of get it started and make it possible. And I think some of the only things that actually stayed through with what I did was the way the rims are done on the front tires, the mud guard. Right. But like maybe part of the chassis, because I figured out some ways to get the tires at just the right height. But the person who finished it was long tenured veteran who was gracious enough to teach me a lot on this. And I think the fact that it was a subject matter that I had less familiarity about maybe helped me be a good listener and take in everything he was saying. Amazing.
Wow. Well, and if you haven't already, you can actually just type into Google. You can just type in Joel Baker Lego, and the link to his list on BrickSet will pop will pop right up. So definitely go.
Joel.
Oh, yeah.
Is that you? Is that boa you?
I think we got the idea from the movie and we're like, hang on, maybe that's possible. and then, Matthew investigated it and sure enough. But you might notice we didn't get it in the first group of sets because it was quite complicated for us to figure out how to manufacture it in a way that made sense for the company.
I couldn't believe that ever became a part.
Yeah, we're fans, and I can't wait to see where it comes up again, if ever, because it's pretty cool. Just tell for all of you designers who are putting parts in to help out the fans, we need more boas.
I was gonna say that's my challenge.
More boas.
See where else you can sneak that in.
All right.
Maybe in next.
We could do it. Yeah.
Maybe in next year's Pride set we can get some more boas.
That'd be cool.
Well,
mine might go in this year's Pride set.
I know, right? Around the purple. I love that Matthew said the purple figure was to represent drag queens because he's a big fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, and I can't even imagine. Joel, I have to say, well, I'm jealous of many things in your life, but I gotta say, I'm super jealous that you have what a great, cool working relationship with Matthew, because we had him on the show and he and I messaged back and forth on Twitter and stuff. He's just so delightful. And what a great thing that you get to hang out with him.
And Wes.
And Wes.
Justin.
I know. And then when we come, and hopefully we get to meet you in person when we're coming to show our work at Lego House next year. So,
awesome.
Or
Bricks by the Bay someday. I'm from California. So,
Bricks by the Bay too. Yeah, that's our home convention. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, so before we go, I always like to kind of see what other things that designers do other than Lego. So we know Wes likes to play D&D and he's got some other things going on. So what is a hobby or something about your life that people might be surprised about, that you are something that you're into that's not Lego?
That's not Lego. Well, as a parent, there's a minimal amount, but for me, the hobbies I do go into, I go overboard and, get really sunk into them for a bit before I switch it over. Lego is the constant one. Lego's consistent.
Right.
But let's see. I play Smash Bros with Wes and some of the other guys at work. And occasionally we go through phases where we get really competitive with it. Just, too competitive.
Yeah.
Which I think that kind of competitive thing is a really healthy balance to, creative teamwork, and this is kind of fluffy and subjective. You need those hard lines of I win, you lose, that kind of
right.
It offsets it. Other things, I played basketball for the nearby city. And let's see, I played for them for 2 years, and that got a little too time consuming, so I backed off of it. But it was, we were getting pretty intense there. And in America, I don't think there's, at least where I'm from in Northern California, there wasn't as many opportunities to play for a city in the same way like that. So that was fun while it lasted. Yeah, of course, over the last year and a half, I haven't been able to do that, but of
course, right.
Did that before. Other things, I try to dabble in whatever my daughters are into at the moment. So they got into Pokemon for a bit, and they're quite different. So one of them the competitive adventure video game aspect. The other was cute creatures. Love that. Right. So you can almost see it. I call them, it's oversimplification, but they're I have an elf's child and a friend's child. So, for one of them, if there's no dragons or danger or anything like that, she just disengages. What's the point? And the other one, oh my goodness, give me more mini dolls, give me colors. She's all about that. So whatever they're into, try to get into a bit as well.
That's awesome.
And a lot of that is probably what makes you such a great designer too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learn a lot from watching them try to not let it be that single example represents a whole, but rather it's a good kind of subjective insight.
That's awesome. Well, we've gone way over time, so I'm sorry for keeping you, Joel, but
no, it's been fun.
What a blast. And I have just so thrilled that you were able to come and join us today. And here comes Wilfred in, a very late bonjour. Hello, Wilfred. Good to see you. You definitely need to go back and watch this because there's a lot of amazing stuff that we went over today. And talking about what a fascinating, fascinating career. And it was so interesting to be able to talk to you about, like I said, the differences between what you do and say what like Justin or Wes does, and then and just to see and hear how you work together on things and kind of like volley things back and forth. Just fascinating. And also so thrilled to know that you are like behind some of our very favorite sets and elements, and Liz. So I just wanted to, before we go, just reminding everybody that we are doing our Everyone is Awesome Rainbow Build Challenge right now. And your entries are due tomorrow by 5 p.m. PST for inclusion in the slideshow on Friday that we'll be doing. And then if you haven't already, get out to Target or the Lego store and buy that Liz poly bag so that you have your Liz to use for the Liz Seed Challenge, which will be we'll be starting up. And Joel, I definitely once we get the challenge done and we do the slideshow of it, I will send you a link to the show so you can check out what everybody's done with Liz.
Cool. Yeah, I'll be happy to share that with the Friends team and all the people that put so much work into the characters.
Oh, well, please let everybody on the Friends team know that we are huge fans. And there is definitely this faction of AFOLs that have a great love for Friends and the colors and all of that. So
and tell everyone I said hi. I miss you guys so much.
We'll do, and I'll ask you around and see who wants to talk to you. From the Friends team.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah. I think we're gonna. I should invite Ollie on because he did the new Elsa Castle, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Ollie.
Oh, love to talk about that too.
Yep.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you again, Joel. Thank you, Holly, for coming and joining us and for setting this epic meeting up where we all got to talk to Joel. And I know everybody in the audience has been responding so well in chat, and it's just been a really terrific show altogether. So, and yes, I love Menard.
It wasn't me. I just helped.
We wouldn't have little Liz if it weren't for you. I'm just saying, like, she would have been the same size as everybody else, and she would have been good, but not as awesome as she is now. So I know we've got you to thank for that. So thanks, Joel, for joining us. Thank you, Holly, for coming on. Thank you, everybody in the audience, for coming and hanging out with us today. And don't forget, we'll be here Friday at 10 a.m. And then Sunday, we'll be here breaking down Lego Masters Season 2, Episode 2 with Jamae from Bricks and Mortar. We will have Moto will be here, of course. Holly will be here. All of our irregulars, Blair, Cara. And we will also have another special appearance by Bricks O'Brien will also be here. So it should be a fun show, action-packed. So until next time, and Holly and Joel, you all can stay on for a minute if you don't mind. Until next time, don't forget to stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, wear that mask if and when you still need to, and get that vaccine as soon as you can. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.